Hey y'all, what's up? Eric Johnson back with y'all again with some breaking news coming out of New York City. The actor formerly known as Kang from Marvel, he is a legendary actor. Jonathan Majors has been found guilty on two charges one of assault and harassment by his ex-girlfriend. Mr. Majors was convicted of allegedly attacking his girlfriend in a car. The case has um The case has cast doubt on his role in Marvel's lucrative superhero movie franchise. I'm getting this information from the New York Times because they were so quick and so ready to, report on this story of him being found, guilty. And you already got a lot of people in the mainstream media, popping champagne bottles on this brother's, guilty verdict. There's a picture of him going into court with now new girlfriend Megan Good, the sister showing the brother's support and family members. Jonathan Majors, who was one of Hollywood's fastest rising stars before facing misdemeanor domestic violence charges in Manhattan, was found guilty of assault and harassment on Monday for attacking his girlfriend in a car allegedly. The six-person jury found that Majors was not guilty on two other counts that had required prosecutors to show that he had acted with intent, one of assault and one of harassment. But the verdict, which arrived after more than 5 hours of deliberation over 3 days, thwarted Mr. Majors' hopes of salvaging his career by providing his innocence in the March altercation. His future in the film industry, already under threat, is now unclear, and he could face under a year in jail. His sentencing is scheduled for February 6, 2024. Yeah, I feel bad for the brother Jonathan Majors, and this is one of the things that can happen to you when you out here dating these white women and stuff, so you got to be real careful. We done seen a lot of, tethers from these black foreign countries come over here, talk crazy about black Americans. They want to get out of their country so bad they'll do anything if it means marrying a fat sloppy white woman or just doing anything for a piece of change to get that green card. I have seen numerous situations like this. I forgot the brother's name. He was from Florida. He was out here talking shit about black Americans, talking about, motherfuckers, Zacatas, Jareers, and Habibs, and Yankees. Next thing you know, a white woman, the OnlyFans model, you probably heard about this story like a couple of months ago or a year ago. There was this white OnlyFans model who, allegedly, sliced up, her ex-boyfriend, and, his coon ass family was out here trying to get black Americans to help them. But, a lot of these folks coming from not only the diaspora, the African continent or the Caribbean or anywhere where in the world where black melanated people are, they come here with a false narrative of black Americans not being anything. And this is just a situation when you get with these folks, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna start changing when you around these white folks, because it just make certain situations not comfortable when you in that environment, because you already know white folks have a long history of anti-black American racism and anti-black racism all around the world. I'm glad you heard about that, Q Smooth. So a lot of people don't thinking I'm talking out of the side of my neck. Let me keep reading this story. Mr. Majors, 34, was wearing a gray suit and gray suede shoes. Did not visibly react to the verdict, other than to squint slightly and to wrinkle his forehead. One of his representatives did not immediately respond to a request for comment. I think they're gonna challenge this guilty plea too, and I think his defense is gonna work extra hard to get this situation under control, because I smell something fishy going on with this guilty verdict, because two other charges he was not found not guilty on, but the other two charges y'all found him guilty on, they don't make no sense. The jurors found Mr. Majors guilty of reckless assault and harassment after a whirlwind 2-week trial in which the actor, like most defendants, did not testify. Instead, the courtroom held from now his ex-girlfriend, a white woman named Grace Jabari. I don't even know how to say this bitch name, but I'm gonna just call this lady Grace. Grace, who is a white woman, she testified in the trial on Mr. Majors allegedly assault and harassment of this lady, allegedly with quotation marks. Let me see what this white lady was saying. She said she described the detail, the altercation that left her ear bloody and finger fractured, allegedly. Her first day of testimony, she gave jurors a full account of what happened. Excuse me. Speaking publicly for the first time about the episode, she said that Mr. Majors had received a flirty text from another woman and that she had grabbed his phone out of his hand. First of all, she done fucked up. Even if this man had a flirty text message from another person who is a female, they don't give you the right to snatch, somebody's phone out of their hand. We know how some of these white women do when they're around, black people. They want to have sexual access to, the brothers, but they want to be control freaks and get all real crazy and shit when they don't get their own way. So she clearly tried to assault this man by grabbing the phone out of his hand because he allegedly seen a flirty text message from a person who was texting Mr. Majors. And she said that first she said she tried to pry she said he tried to pry her fingers away, then he twisted her hand with her arm, allegedly. Next, the white lady said, I felt like a really hard blow across my head. So she allegedly said that he hit her allegedly across her head, allegedly. The Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg said in an email that the trial had demonstrated the psychological and emotional abuse. This is too common in domestic violence cases. He thanked the jury for its service and Miss Mayonnaise for bravely telling her story despite having to relive her trauma on the stand. Well, boo-hoo. Y'all hearing her story, but you ain't hearing Mr. Major's story of how this lady was out here not trying to let this man go. I seen this man running through the streets of New York on a video trying to get away from this white bitch. And y'all clearly didn't see this lady in that video harassing this brother. He's trying to get away. This situation was so crazy and so dirty that he got out of his own car and tried to get away from this lady. She chasing this man through the streets. He ducking and dodging cars trying to get away from this white bitch. But y'all find this man guilty on 2 charges of alleged harassment and assault. I think she's lying too, Brother Q. It wouldn't be the first time that a white woman lied on a black man, but you know how this shit be sometimes when it comes to these mayonnaise creatures. You gotta be careful when you out here messing with these Beckys and you sisters out there messing with these Brads, because y'all can end up getting, Friday the 13th, allegedly. And you brothers, you can get caught up in a situation that can get you, wet, woot, woot, woot. I don't even have to say what it is, because when y'all out here dealing with white women, it might not be all of them, but I don't want to take that chance. Mr. Major's lawyers had argued that it was Miss Jabari who had assaulted their client, and they had at least a she had at least a plethora of attacks on her before and during the trial, casting her as a liar and sought revenge on Mr. Majors after he strayed. They asked jurors to focus on Miss Mayonnaise actions after her altercation with the actor. She had run into 3 strangers who attempted to console her, and then had gone out clubbing with them, returning home hours later. Yeah, I think she's lying, Brother Q. From the bottom of my heart, I think she's lying. But prosecutors urged jurors to remain focused on what had happened and directly outside the car, and Mr. Major's arguments appeared to fall flat. A judge prevented the actors' lawyers from detaining evidence that convicted at least one police detective that there was probable cause to arrest Miss Jabari, aka the mayonnaise lady, in October, months after the incident. A representative for Mr. Majors did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Exactly. That's why I don't do that. I'm being careful with what women I mess with. Yeah, man, you gotta be careful out here, man. This the year 2023. Anything can happen out here, man. We see a lot of these Beckys and these Brads and these Karens and these Kevins out here doing strange things to black people, getting them shot by calling the police on reporting false crimes. We see a lot of these situations out here. I just stay in my own lane, so I try to date black women. That's just my preference, not just black American women, but any black melanated woman on this earth who's definitely on code, who's black first, in my opinion. That's just me. It was an unusual proceeding. Few defendants charged with the crimes that Mr. Majors was facing choose to go to trial, but the actor had held out hope that his name would be cleared. The mixed verdict did the opposite, adding to the damage caused by a rim of embarrassing evidence. The courtroom heard a recording that Miss Jabari, aka the mayonnaise lady, said that she made, in which Mr. Majors directed her to treat him like Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King had treated their husbands. Jurors saw a text exchange in which Mr. Majors urged Miss Jabari not to seek treatment for a head wound and threatened suicide. The prosecutors, Kelly Galloway and Michael Perez, used the evidence to argue that Mr. Majors had been a controlling and manipulative boyfriend, and that the attack in the for-hire SUV in March was the accumulation of 2 years worth of abuse. Miss Galloway, the mayonnaise lady, in her closing argument last week, urged the jury to believe Miss Jabari, the white woman, asking jurors what she stood to gain as she lived through assaults on her character. She would not be able to fabricate this story, Miss Galloway said. I don't believe that. We done seen a lot of white women out here fabricate stories on black people and they get away with it. It's a small percent chance that they will actually go after this lady. I'm surprised they arrested her a couple of months ago because he been mentally and physically abusing this man. And I wish that this brother didn't get caught up with this mayonnaise creature, because this whole situation is just another example of when going to these Beckys, going to these white women goes wrong. I'm not saying all of them do that, but interracial relationships can be from a negative factor when it comes to white women trying to abuse black men and black women, when it comes to going to the other side of the tracks. So that's all I have to say about that. She would not be able to fabricate this story, Miss Galloway said. I guess that's one of her attorneys, one of the people who's was on trial for the case. Let me get some more stories on this, because I read that from the New York Times. Jonathan Majors dropped by Marvel after guilty verdict. So Marvel didn't waste no time dropping this man after the guilty verdict. I'm getting this information from the WRAP, the rap.com. Jonathan Majors dropped by Marvel after guilty verdict. The actor was arrested in March following a domestic dispute. Jonathan Majors has been dropped by Marvel Studios and will no longer portray Kang the Conqueror going forward in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. The Rap has confirmed. The decision comes after the actor's misdemeanor trial found Majors guilty of assault and harassment in a domestic violence case against the Marvel and Creed 3 actor, who was accused of allegedly physically assaulting his girlfriend the night they ended a 2-year relationship in March. Sentencing is scheduled for February 6, 2024. Okay, I already read that. Oh, she's British. She's a British national, Grace Jabari. She's described being in a serious relationship with Majors on the night she saw a text from another woman. After grabbing his phone, I repeat, after Grace Jabari grabbed Mr. Majors' phone, after she allegedly saw a flirtatious text from another person that was texting Mr. Majors. I already read that. All right. They presented the jury with images showing Jabari out partying out partying with strangers right after the Chinatown altercation. The photos were on a professional dancer mingling with people she had just met on the street. Additionally, the jury listened to a recording of a 911 call placed by Majors the next morning. She had found Jabari locked inside his Chelsea apartment and called 911 due to concerns for her safety. So after the alleged assaults, she didn't seek police. She didn't seek medical treatment. She went out partying in Chinatown with random people. Next thing you know, she done locked herself in the bathroom in his Chelsea apartment. And Mr. Major's doing the right thing by calling the police. But you know how cops be in certain situations when it comes to white women. They actually put them as the victims and put the other person who might be the victim 9 times out of 10 as the aggressor. The prosecution aimed to portray Mr. Majors as having a pattern of abuse and manipulation. Okay, I already read that. Let me see. She described him as having increased violence outbursts and exhibiting controlling action towards her during this time. Her testimony accumulated in recounting the physical fight that broke out between them in a backseat of a Cadillac Escalade on the night of March 25th. Jonathan Majors first stepped onto the Marvel scene in the summer of 2021 as he who remains a zany custodian of the timeline, debuting in Disney's Plus hit show Loki. Excuse me. Majors brought an oddball energy to his original character as he remains was his first variant of MCU's villain Kang. Majors then appeared as Kang the Conqueror in Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't even know how to say this name. I ain't even gonna try to pronounce it. Scoring only 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. Tomato meter Ant-Man and the Wasp garnered scratchingly poor reviews for critics. The film's dismal rating places it among the most poorly received in the annuals of Marvel Cinematic Universe history, almost equaling Eternals franchise worst 47% score. More to come. So yeah, man, they trying to put the snow on this brother, man, putting him as the aggressor, but she's trying to slide off and put herself as the victim. I don't believe this white bitch for a second. This is a miscarriage of justice, and I hope Jonathan Majors can overcome this situation. I know his defense team is definitely going to try to, get these charges, dropped. In my opinion, they should have already been dropped because I don't know, man. It's just real crazy. And Marvel quickly dropped him after this guilty plea. We done seen worse people do worse things in certain situations from the dominant society. But if you get false charges of allegedly assaulting your significant other, especially if you in an interracial relationship with these spoiled milk people, not to say all of them do that, but in the system of white supremacy, interracial sexual access can be a major key factor of you actually getting fucked up in a situation that don't need to be. So I just want to say, Jonathan Majors, keep your head up, brother. Shout out to Megan Good. Shout out to her, his family members for keeping his head strong. Shout out to his defense team for actually doing their job and not throwing them under the bridge. Shout out to Marvel Studios for dropping the brother after his guilty plea. They didn't actually show him no fucking support, but it doesn't surprise me. I think he will be just fine. I hope we'll get more updates on this certain situation, but this is terrible news to be reporting on. I just wanted to come in here and give my thoughts and my perspective on this whole situation. This trial has been smelling fishy from the beginning. They let her get up there to represent herself, but Mr. Majors, I don't know if he had a chance to go up there and to testify and give his story and his side of the story. But this just goes to show you that when you out here messing with these Beckys, you gotta You gotta have two eyes behind the back of your head, man. I don't mess with white women. I find them increasingly um guilty of being besides the white man under the control of the system of white supremacy. Not to say that all of them are like that, but when you out here dealing with, you know, other people from the other society who has a long history of anti-black American racism and anti-black racism, not only in the United States but in the world, that just goes to show you that you can't trust a lot of people from that society. So the moral of the story is you just gotta be careful when you out here dealing with these mayonnaise creatures. You definitely gotta be careful when you out here under the system of white supremacy, because we have sickle cell senile mayonnaise smelling individuals as presidents, doing everything for everybody else. But when you out here trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, you just have people trying to just put the false narrative on you. So that's all I have to say about this situation. Jonathan Majors, I hope you can bounce back from this situation. I think you're innocent, brother. I'm riding with you. The black family is riding with you, brother. We're going to keep our heads strong. This ain't the first time that we done seen people put false charges on, black people, especially the black man. We always been under attack by either the coons, the butter biscuits, or the white dominant society. So that's all I have to say. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Put your comments in the comment section. What you think about the guilty um verdict from Jonathan Majors? Do you think he got a fair trial, or do you think it smells real fishy like some fish McBites from McDonald's with spoiled mayonnaise? But yeah, that's all I have to say. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Shout out to you, Q Smooth.